I want to finish at 9, so
where to start from.
what are you talking about here?
So I had something on my mind, but I didn't get we just didn't have time.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Brian had to put, we said put God first and do His will.
Right.
And then,
So what, can you just think what that would mean, putting God first? Sorry?
Getting more people involved in the daily activities of the church.
Okay. Right.
more ownership.
Yeah.
They would have more ownership.
Yeah.
If they, you know.
I think that means literally too. It's like, I think it starts at the individual too, so kind of what I was thinking kind of links into that. You know, God's probably challenging us all individually to grow somehow.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, and I think that, you know, I think that's the starting point. It starts by asking them, you know, where should I go? You know.
That's self-promotion, but that's what this book's all about. Actually,
You know, like, and then how does it link to the church, I guess?
I think we need to
you know?
dare each other to be a bit more confident about being people of God, and not just running the church, because that's great, but not, you know, not just being religious, if you like, but actually daring to step again into relationship with God. And I think, you know, doing that, there's all sorts of ways to do that. You know, there's dozens of ways we could learn to pray better. There's using each other as prayer guides or spiritual guides in mutual relationship. There's inviting people to come and kind of support you for a weekend while you grow. There's allowing more silence in your worship and in your whatever. But I think there's a glass ceiling somehow about how you can perform as a church, unless somehow you can allow the Spirit to flow. And I know we're all diffident and shy and introvert and we don't want to talk about it, but actually, you know, it's something that there's no other way. We've actually somehow got to die to some of our inhibitions and just allow ourselves to be held by God and to grow in God, and find simple language for doing that. And I mean, half of you here tonight are men. So it's not a woman thing. Actually, you know, I used to do spiritual guidance a lot for people in the very working class parish in Leeds. And the women could see what I meant straight away by spiritual guides. There was a 6'5" fireman who used to drop his wife off at church, and then, you know, and when I invited him to come and talk to me, you know, about God, he was delighted. He said, I didn't think you'd want to talk to me, you know, and he actually had so much he wanted to say, and so much, but you know, just because he was big and awkward and, you know, it was irrelevant. Inside was a human being who wanted to know two things: that, you know, that God loved him, you know, infinitely, despite everything that he might accuse himself of, and that he could know that and tell other people. And, you know, that's all churches are about in some ways, isn't it? To know that we are loved and held by God, and that is so important to us that we can't help but share that with other people. But I wrote this because it helps a group to think that through and to grow in faith and prayer as another route, if you like, to collaborative ministry that's not about your head but about your heart. So that might be for some of you a way forward. What were you? Did you get anywhere?
You good?
I forgot.
Damn good.
Too difficult to say.
They were talking
Well,
about
to listen to young people.
We're listening
Yeah.
to young people
Yeah.
and trying to keep them engaged, and what
Yeah.
types of, finding out what types of things they get excited about, keep them coming here. Most of them, they make their confirmation and you don't see them again.
No.
My son's the exception, you see him on the altar. I'm just saying.
We got to, as you said, with the warding hole and the fences, we got to find out what border they like and get them back in here.
And that comes back to this thing about inclusivity then, doesn't it, and diversity?
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you've got kids at home, life isn't always peaceful and orderly.
Is it?
No.
So do you really want
Even
the
through
church
the
as well?
college days, it's still not.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I used to be a diocesan missionary in Gloucestershire, and I'd often go to parishes, and the church council would say, well, you know, we want more people coming to church, we want more money, or we want young people. And I'd say, I can understand the first two, but you really want young people? You know, they'll just give you a headache. But actually, it takes an enormous amount of hard work, doesn't it, to talk to them, to find out, to listen to them. I mean, just on Sunday, I mean, we had a couple of young teenagers came, and I've not seen them before. And I thought, well, I'm too old to really make any connection with them. But I sat down and I just asked them about what they've been doing that week. And they talked, you know, and it's something, it's not rocket science, it's something about paying attention in a way which doesn't seem patronising.
Listening to what they're actually saying, rather than just, what's the phrase that,
Wait.
I hear as well as you listen, or listen as well as you
But the
hear.
other thing was they're up to all sorts of technology. I mean, you're lucky that Rich is too. I mean, he's a 16-year-old.
Well, yeah. Loves his toys. So do I.
But you know, there's all sorts of stuff now coming out, which, I mean, there's all these discs of the Old Testament, you know, beautifully done. I was looking at one this afternoon with Rick, and it's a matter of knowing that you're way behind in the sense of communicating, and you've got to catch up, or find people who are prepared to do it. You know, because you know, some of us will go to the grave without an iPod or whatever it might be.
I'm buried with your toys.
But you know, actually, if the church is serious about connecting with different generations, we've got to be, you know, ahead of the game. The Franciscan movement are hot on this in England. They say, you know, if St. Francis was here now, he would have a dongle and an iPod, and he would be in there because he would want to be connecting with people, rather than saying, well, I'm just old-fashioned and I don't do that kind of thing. Because evangelism is wanting to connect with people at the deepest level in the way which works. I don't know how you write that down.
Isn't that
And there's also, you know, there's the Message Bible. The message. There's all kinds of ways of. Do you use a Message Bible ever? You know, the Message Bible. Yeah. And you know, it's a paraphrase of the scriptures, but it actually there's some fantastic. I mean, the first chapter of Genesis in the Message Bible is just profound. Just recently, we had 4 voices reading it, you know, as a reading, and it just sounds like Neo now, rather than a bit of the Bible that you read because you have to read it. Okay, what were you talking about in terms of what we do now?
The same thing as everybody else.
Ditto, Mike.
So in your own words,
We're a bunch of troublemakers.
No, really?
connecting. Yeah. And that, if we really love people, we will bother, won't we? We will actually be bothered. It's very hard work, but it's that, I think, don't young people suspect that we don't really like them, or we don't really want them? So you've actually got to persuade. When I worked in Wales, there was a culture which took me a while to get. If you ask somebody in Wales to volunteer for something, they say, oh, no, I can't do that. And you ask them a second time, they say, no. But they're waiting for you to ask them the third time, because that's part of the culture. Now, if you're from England, you don't know that, so you ask them once and you say, well, forget it, you'll ask somebody else. But actually, they're really offended if you don't ask them 3 times, because they're going to say yes, but it's on the 3rd time that they will say yes. So, when young people, you might want to actually learn something from them.
Well, doesn't we have a little different strategy here at our table? We looked at your categories and kind of identified ourselves and what we felt our strengths were. We think about happiness, just, you know, relate to somebody else. I know maybe I'm more of a consultant and Laura felt she was a navigator, and she's a teacher, and that's more than her, that she's a navigator. But knowing your strengths and you know
Oh, boring too.
So it's something about the imagination and respect and learning from one another and not feeling bad because you didn't bring. I just want to leave you this present, which is a book I wrote about 10 years ago, and it's still, I think, got something to say about how you learn these things very simply again and again, about how to be a community that's different from other communities, that absorbs difference, but actually is walking in an aligned way and can have a ministry team and knows the place of the pastor but knows the place of everybody else. And it's designed to be used for kind of group learning, and it takes you through some very simple steps. So can I give that to you then, for safekeeping?
Let me figure out that I.
Do pass it round and make sure that perhaps people sign to read it or something. If a few people have read it, then you could maybe use it as a tool to take you on to another step. Or you might say, it's a load of rubbish. But the Bishop of Oxford recently was overheard to say that life and the church is just so difficult, everything's in flux, that it's actually only when it goes to the what you would call the lavatory, you might call the men's room, that he knows what to do. On that serious note, shall we pray? Shall we stand? The Lord is here. His Spirit is with us. Father, we thank you for holding us in the palm of your hand. Thank you for sending us Jesus to show us what you are like. Thank you for sending us the Holy Spirit to animate and energize us and to surround us. Take us from tonight with even greater hope for ourselves and for our church and for this neighbourhood. Give us new life, new love, new energy to be a community that brings real hope and real life to all the people that we know. And help us to be one of another, sharing our joys and our sorrows.